Hello everyone, this is Andrew, AJT62, back for commentary of a new PB that I've gotten for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, any percent, in 21 minutes and 23 seconds. So, there hasn't been many changes from my last PB, which was over a year ago, but the reason I was able to PB with this run after so few attempts was because I learned a new trick called the Void Warp, which is very difficult. So originally when I got my PB for 22 minutes and 20 seconds, which is going to have much better commentary than I will give for this run. If you want full commentary on, like, if you've never seen a run of this before, you want, like, me explaining the tricks a little bit more in detail, you can go and watch that run. I'll put a little annotation, and you could go watch that first at least, and know some of the tricks better. For this run, I'm mostly going to be talking about the history behind it, and you know, going forward, what I'm going to do, and things like that, my essentially stuff like that. So my 2220 run back on April 1st, 2015, over a year ago, was pretty much a very good run. It had very, very few mistakes. It had some bad luck in some places, but there wasn't too much to complain about it. And I ended up, but the thing that was always looming over, the reason why people can get times below like 20 minutes is a trick called the Void Warp, which, as I said, it saves a lot of time, and it's basically a trick, and I'll explain it more when I get there, but it's in the tower collapse at the very end of the run, where you can skip most of the tower collapse using a trick called a Hess and some angle changes. But it's a very, very difficult trick to do, and after I got my 2220, I tried learning the trick a little bit, but I just found it extremely difficult, and I didn't think I was really ever going to be able to pull it off, let alone pull it off in a speedrun. But over the year, pretty much since last April, even though I've had hand problems, I have been able to play OT occasionally and just learn a lot of new tricks, learn a lot about the game, ask other people who know more about the game than me. Like, for example, I went to AGDQ 2016, Awesome Games Done Quick, and I met one of my favorite speedrunners, ZFG, and he told me a lot. He answered a lot of my questions about the game, just like he often does on Twitter and Twitch as well, by the way, so thank you for him. But a lot of people have helped me learn about this game, and I've done a lot of experimenting, just learning new things about the game. For example, like, I can Hess off bombs really consistently now, whereas before I wouldn't even really know how to do a Hess. And if you can Hess off bombs, you'll have a better idea of how to do them off rocks, and we'll get into more of that later. But this run is a run that I'm not at all happy with, and I'm not going to take this commentary too seriously. It's more of just a relaxed commentary. I did this run as an offline run because, as I mentioned, I still am suffering from hand problems, but I am able to play a lot more than I would be able to like 6 months ago. But like, I might be able to do 2 or 3 runs, and then I'll have to stop. Normally I would stream the runs, but I feel like if I would stream 1 or 2 runs and have to stop, that would not be very exciting for the viewers. But as my hands continue to get better, and I feel like I'll be able to play for multiple hours at a time, I would definitely love to get back to streaming runs for this game, and possibly for Majora's Mask and RuneScape as well. But anyway, so yeah, we are... this run is absolute shit, other than the Void Warp, which is very good, and you'll see that later. But there's been very few changes I've made to the content of the run before the Void Warp, in terms of what tricks I do and the strats I do. I still do most of the same strats. There are a few new ones, which you'll see, that I do. Nothing major, and I think I equip things differently. It's not like I just learned the new trick and was able to PB very easily with it. I did have to go back and practice pretty much everything in the run beforehand. See really bad movement there that my PB was much better with, because I was way more in practice back then in April of 2015 than I am now. But I did practice a lot of the things in this run, pretty much went through and, you know, practice the Deku Tree, what to do in Kokiri Forest, you know, all the segments and everything. Not as much practice as I probably needed, but I did put a few hours in and learn some new things. And I do have some other advantages, like I know more about movement in the game. I can do things like curving backwalks, which saves a tiny bit of time. I know that you can press A to climb up ledges faster, which I didn't know a year ago. And yeah, so there's a few minor things that I've learned since, but here's one that's coming up that I've always known about, but I always found more difficult. Now I actually find it easier. Instead of getting an angle upon entering this room, I actually am going to do an ESS turn twice here to get the angle for the forced escape a little bit faster, and I actually find it a little bit easier than the old method, which you see in my PB, where I kind of lock an angle in before I even enter that room. Zora's River, nothing's really changed in terms of my PB from this. I still do a pretty slow but safe red rupee strat, which you can actually do without a sword, so you might see that in old swordless runs, which aren't relevant anymore, at least in terms of a world record. The world record, which is 17:45 by Skater, does get the sword because it's faster for the new Gim route, which is heavily RNG based. That route, you need to get a Deku nut in the Deku tree to get a bottle, and there's only a 1 out of 5 chance of that, so you wouldn't run that route unless you're going for the world record, because it's ridiculously luck based. But yeah, here's a major mistake in this run that my PB did not make. Watch this. I'm going to drop ESS position right about now and head a backwalk to Kakariko. I was pretty sure that I was going to have to reset here, but I didn't, because I knew that I could save so much time with the Void Warp. And also there's another mistake here, but it's actually with this, with me hitting the wrong button on my keyboard. When I split for the Kakariko split, I'm going to change the splits to compare against my best segments instead of comparing against my PB, which basically means that it's as if I'm running against a combination of all my best segments put together. My PB is 2220, but my sum of best segments is 2152. My PB was pretty close to most of my best segments, but you're going to see me get really behind here for my splits. It's not actually as bad as it looks because I'm comparing against my best segments, which will have no time save whatsoever, whereas my PB has time save, which is a little bit more lenient. But still, don't be fooled by that. This run, up until Void Warp, was still extremely bad. You know, nothing horrible, but pretty damn bad, and I'm not at all satisfied with it. I just figured I'd upload this and do commentary because it's my first PB in over a year, and it shows that I've learned a major, very difficult trick that saves a ton of time. And it's pretty cool just to see that even though this run is not nearly overall as good as my PB, it does something extremely difficult which saves a ton of time. So learning the Void Warp, I used, it's very difficult to do, to even learn, but I knew how Hess works, so that helped a lot. And I also watched, I also had Gecko codes, which I mentioned in my Majora's Mask test map video, where you can use cheat codes on the Virtual Console for practice only. Obviously, I'm not using them in actual runs, but so that helped because I was able to like quickly get to the area and just keep trying it over and over again. Not necessarily save states, but it was just easier to access the area where I needed to practice the trick. Whereas before, it would have been just kind of inconvenient to practice. Like the Gecko codes, for example, have a feature where you can warp to anywhere in the game. So I could just keep warping to the tower collapse and trying it over and over, where it would have been more difficult to practice it before I had Gecko codes. Also, I used a tutorial by Dr. M. He's actually a streamer I watch quite often who runs many categories. I think he's like 5th place right now, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 6th place, I'm not exactly sure, on the leaderboards for this game for any percent. I think his PB is 1824. He has an old tutorial for Void Warp, which is a little bit outdated, but I asked him a lot of questions about it, and he kind of helped me fill in the gaps about the new knowledge of the trick since his tutorial, when the trick was like he made the tutorial when the trick was like first discovered in 2013, so many parts of it are not really relevant or true anymore, but the parts that are relevant were very good, so thank you very much for his tutorial. Shout outs to him, and just other people like on Twitter and such helped me learn the trick, and yeah. I've also, like I said, just gotten better at the game, so really, really hard tricks aren't as like daunting for me anymore. Like, I really believe that I can do most things in the game if I really put my mind to it, whereas before I would be more likely to just say, okay, this is way too fucking difficult, there's no way I'm going to do this. But yeah, now I'm better at the game, so I can do things like that with less issue. So yeah, I'm plus 35, but I'm probably only around 20 seconds. That's just a guess. I mean, I could check if I really cared. I'm probably only like 20 seconds behind my PB, which is still really, really bad. Maybe a little more. This is one thing I did get, which I didn't get my PB. I backflipped into that cutscene trigger. That saves well under a second, but I'm happy I got that. Depends on your angle too and the timing of the backflip, but oh well. And here's one thing I used to always forget, was to equip the shield. If you forget to equip the shield before you talk to Mido, you might as well just reset, because he talks to you forever and then he doesn't let you through, and you have to equip the shield and talk to him again, which wastes a ton of time. I used to have that happen to me in too many runs, that like way more than it should happen, probably like 10 times ever in my life. I've forgotten to equip the shield before talking to him. Again, this is not going to be in-depth commentary, so if you want to see that, check out my 2220 commentary or ZeldaSpeedruns.com. Another thing people might wonder why I don't go for here is a recoil jump slash into this cutscene. You can jump slash and recoil against the wall to kind of get propelled down this hill a little bit, but it only saves about half a second, and if you screw it up, it just puts you in a really bad spot. Essentially, although that trick does push you forward in the cutscene, it makes your camera after the cutscene really weird and hard to adapt to. So I don't go for that, because I'm not even that good at it, and it's just not worth the risk. My camera wasn't too bad there. I was able to just quickly start backwalking. If you go into that cutscene with something different, like a side hop, your camera's going to be all screwed up, and it's going to take a while. Here's one new thing. I learned the faster way to pull out the sword. You essentially just swing your sword and press R to quickly pull out your sword there. In my PB, I just slashed the sword to get it out for the jump slash, but there I learned this new little way. I learned this probably about a year ago. This run is pretty bad, but at least it did get the Navi text trigger skips. You just pull out the Deku stick there and skips the trigger for the text. And same thing here, just backflip onto the chest and no problems there. Still kind of bad RNG here, but nothing terrible. Actually, did this spider bother me? I think I just let it pass, but yeah, it kind of did bother me, because I had to stop for it for quite a while. I think, let's see, did I get B? I'm pretty sure I got B1 skip in this run, but we'll see. Same setup as my PB. There are faster setups, such as the Skulltula hover, which I haven't learned yet. I might learn that if it comes down to it. But yeah, nice B1 skip, but I do remember this part went very shitty. This scrubs took a long time. Yeah, see, the problem is that shot and missed, and I really didn't need to strafe there, but I was worried of the other scrub hitting me and causing problems and just wasting more time. So yeah, that's a big time loss. Actually, like, it doesn't look like I'm going to lose a bunch of time, but this takes a while for everything to get to the door here and everything. And then I don't think Goma went well either, but I know this run looks really bad, but just keep watching and you'll see a major time save coming up at the collapse. I hadn't ever done the Void Warp in a run, so you'll see in that segment that I'm going to get a best segment, a rainbow split, by a very, very large amount. But as for right now, I'm just trying to keep up. If I waste like over a minute and a half throughout the run before the tower collapse, then I won't be able to PB even with the Void Warp. Second try ISG here, at least I knew to throw another Deku nut to give myself some time for ISG. This was one thing I didn't have any trouble coming back for, was Goma Clip, and I actually got it in one pause there, which is really nice. I'm pretty good at Goma Clip overall, not to say that I never screwed up. So this cutscene takes a long time, and one thing that's annoying is that it's kind of difficult to get to the door here easily, and I think I did an okay job. Yeah, good enough. Not the best rolls. But one change actually from my PB, which is going to lose a few seconds here, is I grabbed this heart piece. It wasn't too important to grab it in my PB because the blue warp does heal you, but it's actually it's not necessary, but it's very helpful to grab it if you're going to attempt the Void Warp, because you need 2.5 hearts to even attempt the Void Warp. because you lose 2 hearts from it guaranteed from fall damage and voiding out. Wrong warp was kind of a picky thing to relearn after a year. I did have a few attempts which screwed it up, and actually attempts that were far better than this. But and I don't think this wrong warp was particularly fast either, but I'd say it was good enough. So compared to my sum of best, I am plus 51 here, and if you look at my best possible time, it says 22:44. That would mean that if I played exactly like my best segments for the rest of the run, I would get a 22:44 and I would miss my PB by 24 seconds. But as I've talked about, we're going to do the void warp here for the first time in a run, and that's going to save a ton of time. And you will see a major gold split, or a rainbow actually. I don't know, I used to use blue splits for my best splits, and I was going to switch to gold, but I realized so many people use rainbow now that I might as well just go with the crowd, I guess. You know, usually I'm not the type of person who likes to do that, but it's just easier for everyone to understand, I guess. The one issue with using rainbow splits is that if you're just taking a picture of the splits, the rainbow could be any color because it flashes. So if you were going to do insta-clip, you would actually get the hess from up here, which is far more difficult. I'm going to do the slightly easier version of the trick called the Void Warp, which essentially uses Zelda to get to clip into the corner, which I'm going to clip into with the hess. You need a very precise angle, and we're going to get that with Zelda. So you have to do a hess off a randomly falling rock, and I actually found a very good rock there very quickly, which I was very happy about, because sometimes you just can't find a good rock and get good spacing. So pause, switch to left ESS, untarget Zelda. Now retarget, and I'm going to slide a little bit to the right. Watch the arrows around Zelda's head until they're right around here. Now switch back to right ESS, unpause, target Zelda briefly, and there we go, that's the Void Warp. Now I have to hold right here, and when Link starts screaming, I jump slash and I hold forward. And now we are in an unloaded room at almost the end of the tower collapse. So now there's some movement you could do here to get out of this unloaded room. The room's textures are loaded, but the actors are not, and the loading zones you can still exit through. And there we go, we just skipped almost all the tower collapse. If you watch my PB, you'll see I fight the Stalfos, I go through so many different rocks, and don't have to do that anymore. And watch this, I almost get hit into this burning rock. Watch how close that is. I was like a pixel away from that. If I had touched that burning rock, the game would have crashed. Because if Zelda is on screen when a shield burning animation occurs, the game will crash. Those two things are never supposed to happen, because adult Link can't use a Deku shield, so he can't have his shield burned, and the game really freaks out when you have your shield burn with Zelda on screen. If Zelda was off screen, like behind me, what would have happened is just the shield would have burned, and I would have been able to keep playing, but any chance of... it would have been pretty unlikely that I would have been able to PB, because you need a shield to do the infinite sword glitch, and that's pretty essential for the Ganon fight. You also needed to do power crouch stab, the trick where you can do a jump slash with like a Deku stick, for example, and do the stabs to keep doing that damage over and over. Again, I explain all this in my 2220, but that trick is called power crouch stabbing in ISG. Those two tricks. Yeah, so look at that. I was 51 seconds behind my sum of best, and now I'm 38 seconds up in front of it. So I believe that'd be about almost a minute and a half time save off my best segment, which is pretty insane. If I do some math here, actually 51 plus 38, I golded that segment, or rainbowed it actually, by 89 seconds, which is really incredible, and that's all because I was able to skip most of the tower collapse with that very hard trick, the Void Warp. I mentioned, watch how bad this is. I was so rusty I didn't know which way to walk, and I do very safe strats for this Ganon fight, by the way. So, yeah, that Void Warp was actually very good. I was very happy with that. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with Void Warp. Those rocks are random, so sometimes you might just not be able to find a good rock to hess from. Other times you might get hit by some of the rocks and have too low health to actually continue the trick. Because, like I said, you need 2.5 hearts because you lose 1 from voiding. and one from hitting the ground there. Those rocks don't burn your shield, by the way. Only the rocks that are just sitting around burn your shield. So I did learn how to consistently get ISG with the deck 2 stick, but I was kind of a baby here, and I equipped the Kokiri sword, which I do in my PB. In the future, I don't think I'll do that, but I just wanted to have a safe PB here, because I really didn't care by how much I PB'd by, because even with these safe strats, it would still be pretty easy to PB with it by a significant amount. And like I said, there's no way I'm going to be happy with this run, considering how many mistakes were in it. But yeah, kind of a sloppy fight there. I had trouble hitting his tail, but nothing too crazy. And here, actually, I'm going to go for an even safer strat than my 2220 did. I'm actually going to get ISG before attacking Ganon. My PB, I jump slash him and then get ISG. And in this case, I store the jump slash first, and then I get ISG. And pull out the stick, and stick will do the same amount of damage with ISG, with the jump slash stored, but it just has more vertical range. And coming up on the end here, there we go. So as you can see here, this run is going to be a bit over 22 minutes, and this cutscene actually goes on for longer than you might think. Like, you might think, oh my god, I'm going to get sub 21 or something like that, or I'm going to get sub 20, but then this cutscene goes on forever. Link looks at his little stick for a while, and then you can finally go, and I did get the final hit in this run, which my PB missed, and so no shame there. But yeah, 21, 23, all because of one major trick which I have learned, the Void Warp, which I'm very glad I learned it. It probably took about around 3 or 4 hours to learn. Honestly, maybe around 4 or 5 when you include, you know, I learned it, but then I had to practice it for many hours, of course. So probably it took about 5 hours to learn it and get it down reasonably consistent. Nice voice crack. But yeah, so that was... well, I actually did have a lot to say about this run, even though it was so awful. But yeah, I will continue doing runs of this category when I can. You know, hopefully I'll be able to stream. I'm working on building up endurance for my hands, doing more exercise and such. So hopefully I will be able to play for longer hours and be able to stream these attempts with commentary and possibly a face cam. If I use my laptop, I can use a face cam. You know, I don't really care. I just never had owned a face cam until pretty recently. But yeah, so let me know if, well, I don't know what to let me know. Let me know if you want to see more PBs of this, hopefully. You know, obviously I'm not the best player for this game, but thank you for many players who've taught me a lot. ZFG, Joden Stone, I used to watch his streams all the time. Torjay, Skater, all these very talented runners who I've learned a lot from and their example. And ZeldaSpeedruns.com, you can learn almost everything about this game that you really need to know. So that's about it. I showed the credits in my PB, don't really need to show them here, but yeah, again, watch that run if you want a better explanation for some of these things. But yeah, that's really all I have to say, so like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Twitch and Twitter down below, and hopefully we'll be seeing more videos of other things coming soon. Thanks for watching, guys.